Welcome to Season 2 of the Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning, Barry. I'm doing great. How are you?
Berry is a disease. I keep telling you, it's like scurvy.
Well, I think you are healthy, 100% healthy.
I am 100% healthy. And so are you.
That's right.
Hey,
We're going to kill it.
We're always killing it. What are you talking about?
Another week has come and gone, and now
We're getting close to the end of the year. My God.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the whole holiday fever. I'm excited about it.
This whole year is flowing by. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is episode 4, right? We're still in the Business 101 series on the startup. And actually, the last couple episodes, the first couple episodes, whatever, we've talked about the startup. We've talked about creating your idea. We've talked about your business plan. Today, this podcast is about the legal and regulatory compliances that you should, you must, and some of them, you probably need to follow.
Yeah, these are important. So a lot of people think about it before they begin their company or start implementing their business. And so they're thinking about tax consequences and various things like that.
We have first a couple things that we should probably do, right? As you're working your business plan, you need to figure out, still got a lot of, can you hear me?
It's really cutting out. I don't know why.
On all my browsers here, so that way, and this. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's start over.
All from the beginning, from the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning, Barry. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I wanted to say, I'm completely sacked in fog here.
I know. It was like that yesterday all day. I felt like it was winter. Like, when is Santa going to come into town?
You got to get through the great
Holidays,
pumpkin
and I'm kind of
and then the
shifting gears
turkey.
now and getting ready and excited about it all.
Yes, I know. Wait, today's somebody's
You.
birthday.
Big
I've
shout
already
out
wished her
to
a happy
my
birthday.
daughter turned 30 today because she was born, I think, at like 6 or no, I think she was born at like 4:45 in the morning. So she's a 30-year-old. She's in a new decade. Should we
Wow.
sing happy birthday to Nicole? Happy
Let's
birthday to you.
let's not go there.
She's so cute. Oh my gosh. I'm getting younger. She's getting older, but I'm getting younger. I'm
That's
acting
how
younger
that
anyway.
hopefully that's how it works, right?
Oh my
So
God.
so so let's get rolling on our podcast today. It's episode 4. We've discussed the startup. We've talked about, creating your ideal, your business license. Today we're going to talk about the legal business license and stuff like that you may need, and then also any regulatory compliances that you may need to uh, jump into.
Yeah, I know. I get asked this question a lot in real estate because when people are buying property and investing, they're always asking how to set up their business entity because every property you own for investment purposes is a little business. So we always think about
Yeah.
how to take title and ownership, and that's the same thing when you're dealing with starting a company.
Well, yeah. So the first things that, as you're creating your business plan, probably this thought has come to mind already, and I believe we talked about it. So I'm just going to briefly go over it. But you need to decide what type of business you're going to be, right? Whether you're going to be a sole proprietor, a partnership, a LLC, an S corp, or a C corp. And there's
Yep.
advantages. There's advantages to all of them, and there's cons to all of them, right?
And it
Um,
involves taxes.
it does involve
Big
taxes,
T
but it
word,
also
the California taxes.
it also involves liability, right? For instance, if you're a sole proprietor or partnership, you assume all liability. If somebody sues your business, they're suing you too. That means they can take your home, they can take your car, they can take, whatever um, assets you may have, you might have to liquidate in order to pay off, if you've been sued or whatever. However,
So
if you're an
that's why you want to formulate these entities to protect you from that, like a layer of protection.
It is a layer of protection, right? LLC, most accountants and everything will tell you if you're going to do, as soon as you hit $100,000 in revenue in a business, you should change that sole proprietor or partnership into LLC. And that's got some tax advantages for you too, right?
Exactly. We're going to go through some of that today. So hopefully you'll be able to take notes. And if you have any questions, we can always discuss it with you and consult on what type of entity that you should have for your specific business.
And we can help you get those set up too. Just reach out
Gets
to
a
us at
little,
InvestWire and we'll help you.
it's a little confusing sometimes. So hopefully this all helps you guys. So should we dive
Definitely.
in, Barry?
Yeah. So, sole proprietors and partnerships are pretty self-explanatory. So let's just jump right into the LLC, right? Because that's where things start getting complicated. There are
Yeah.
applications for all of these, but for the LLC specifically, that's where you're actually going to separate yourself and the business to become two separate identities. That way, if the company gets sued, they can't come after you personally. And if you personally get sued, they can't come after the company.
Right.
But there are some limitations on that. For instance, stock, right? Or share company. That's all you got. You're limited to that. So, the shares might be worth a lot of money. There could be partners in this as well, right? So it's not necessarily just one person. It becomes a company in itself. And there could be many partners that become the officers of that LLC.
So when you talk about shares, that would be applicable to a corporate entity, right?
Right. It is shares, so for instance,
It's a
you and
combination of the
I,
corporate.
right. You and I at InvestQuires were 50-50. So you would have 50 shares, I would have 50 shares,
Right.
of equal value. But if we decide to bring on a third person, I would have to give up some shares, you would have to give up some shares to give that person
Right.
some shares too, right? Because
So
we're still limited to 100.
in an LLC, you could have more than two people.
Yeah, exactly. You could have 10 for all that matters. One thing you cannot do on an LLC is you cannot go on the stock market, right? You can't trade shares publicly in your company. This is all private stuff.
Right.
So, and the same is with an S corp, right? An S corp is really the same as a LLC, but it provides you additional tax advantages, so on and so forth. You still have 100 shares, but the things that you got to be careful with S corp and a C corp, especially a C corp. C corp, you get double taxed, right?
So the
S
S
corp,
corp,
you
you
don't.
eliminate the self-employment tax, I believe.
Yes,
So that's why I chose to do an S corp for my company because of that reason. That was really killing me when it came time to tax liability. I had to pay
yep,
a huge amount for self-employment, and that got rid of that altogether. So now there's just a flat fee I pay every year to have the S corp, and I'm protected against all those other taxes.
right. Both of those uh, you're not going to get on the stock exchange. You're not going to be able to publicly trade any of your stocks. The only type of business is a C corp operation. That's the only one where you can actually advertise and trade shares, and you can have 100 million shares, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Interesting.
for instance, with World Intermed, a previous company that I had, we had 100 million shares. So, I had a few million shares, all the founders, we all had a few million shares, and then we had investors that bought shares based on basically at $1 a share, so on and so forth.
So would you
So,
say, Barry, that a larger company would opt to do the C corp?
yeah, if you're a company and you're looking for to go on the stock market, to go IPO, something like that, somewhere down the road, you have to be a C corp to do that. There, we can talk and we can go into great detail and make one podcast just out of the differences between an S corp and a C corp. We don't want to do that here because we got other things to hit, but we
So
definitely
yeah, you're touching on the personal liability of each. We're touching on the taxation of each of these structures. And next, we didn't talk about yet is like the financing. How will you raise capital for your business entity?
right.
So,
Well, again, if you're a C corp, you can go pre-IPO. You can get investments that way and stuff like that. If you're LLC or an S corp, you're going to do it all private on the backs yourself. Something I want to mention: S corp and C corp, really the C corps. Investors need to be accredited investors. Accredited investor has at least $100 million in wealth and has $250,000 in liquid cash that they have available to them. And they say accredited. All you need is just a documentation from their accountant saying that they do qualify. That's it. You don't have to go out to the government and get anything to that such.
Got it. So what about management of the business? Who would be involved in managing it?
Well,
if you were S Corp or C Corp versus an LLC?
Well, LLC, S Corp, and C Corps, you need to define officers, right?
Right.
So you're going to have a CEO, CFO, COO. You're going to have all those things in the S Corp and the C Corp. And then in the LLC, you still can have like partners and stuff like a lot of law firms use LLCs, right?
Right.
So
yeah. So you could find that in your articles of incorporation and designate the role of each person and what they are. Like Barry mentioned.
You got it. Articles of incorporation is really where you define the whole business. That's almost a business plan in itself.
Right. But those papers are important when you're going to take out loans or expanding your business. You'll need to have those handy so that people know what everybody's role is and which title they hold.
Exactly. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes, right? Let's start off on the basics of when you're starting a business. One of the first things you need is a business license, right?
From your city or county?
Most of the time, your city or county, right? Exactly. And basically what that business license is just allows you to operate and do business in the city or county.
Right. Now you have a name that's associated with where you're planning on doing your business, and people can look that up to make sure you have a valid license, right?
Well, the next thing you need to go along with that is a fictitious business name or a DBA, right? Doing business as.
Right.
That's important if you're going to have a bank account. Banks are not going to open up a bank account without that fictitious business name.
Right? But you don't want that, Barry, if you do have like an S Corp paperwork or, you would take that into the bank, right?
You could take that into the bank. If you're a C Corp or an S Corp, yeah, and an LLC, yes. But as a sole proprietor and a partnership, you need a fictitious business name. And basically, and that gets published for 30 days publicly. It used to be you had to put it in the newspaper for 4 weeks. Now you can just go online. There's sites online. You pay $25 and it's posted at the Register or the LA Times, wherever you want to post it.
There you go. So then what else? You need some other licenses depending on the type of business that you're opening, right? The local, state, federal licenses would be applicable to restaurants or healthcare. There's some various licenses and permits that you need in order to operate your business. Right.
Restaurants, right? You need health permits. You might need liquor license, food handling permits. I mentioned that, I did a lot of work with a restaurant, and we had probably a good 1,000 employees in Southern California. Every single one of them had to have a food handling permit, right? So that they safely...
Liquor licenses too. Those could be very costly and expensive. So I would do your research when you're opening a restaurant or any sort of like bar that may have, liquor, alcohol. You would have to obtain those through the city, and there is some red tape involved, and they could be pretty pricey. So I would definitely want you to do your due diligence when establishing, your cost to open up the doors.
Yes, exactly. And we have a Montessori for sale right now. And so daycare and stuff like that, there's licenses involved in that too, right?
Oh, yeah.
You need certification licenses, childcare licenses. You need to do background checks on the instructors or teachers or whatever you want to call them, daycare providers that are working for you.
Ongoing.
And then you also need to have a certain amount of them per so many children.
Right. So that would be something that would be of value if you were going to put your business up for sale, like the Montessori school is, and be able to relay the cost that was involved in establishing the correct licensing based on your business size and the services that you offer. So that is something that all goes into the valuation of the company. When I had my store, I had to obtain a resale license. And that was through the state, so they would know that I was purchasing goods from the vendors at one cost and then reselling them for a higher price. and the resale tax was applied to that to those amounts.
Yep.
And so that resale license I had to maintain and make sure that that was in effect in order for me to have my store opened.
Yep. Did the same. I had a business and actually had to do the same thing. You could buy wholesale, mark it up, and sell it retail, but then you got to register and all that stuff. Healthcare, right? If you're going to do
Yeah.
healthcare, you might need RNs, licensed RN, medical license, nursing license. You got HIPAA compliancy and a bunch of other things that you need to abide by. Sometimes also, I should mention Sarbanes-Oxley on the accounting side of all of these businesses, you may need to follow as well, depending on, how big you get, things, so on and so forth.
Right.
From the Fed level, you need to get an EIN, right? Employer identification number for payroll taxes, so on and so forth. That separates your Social Security number from and the business, and it's kind of like a Social Security number for the business.
Yep.
Instead of for you, the EIN number. So that's important that you get that, because if as a sole proprietor, you might be doing payroll and filing everything under your Social Security.
Exactly. So creating an entity like we're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. So, other type of certifications and licenses, right? For instance, attorneys, they're going to need obviously a certification from the bar. Other accounting, accounting, they might need CPA certifications, things like that. So there's all types of different certifications and regulatory compliances you may follow, even environmental. For instance, back to the restaurant, right? Restaurant does produce a lot of waste. And so you need to get rid of that waste somehow. And it's bio waste. It's considered bio waste. So you need to have a license for bio waste, things like that.
The industry specific certifications and licenses and permits in order to have your business in effect and open. Those are different things that you may have to maintain on an annual basis, right?
Absolutely. Some of them not even annual, some of them are quarterly.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you're going to need insurance, right?
Right.
So insurance,
so general liability.
General insurance,
Yeah.
liability, if you have employees and stuff like that. If you're doing service related work, you might need E&O, right? E&O's errors and omissions insurance. If you make a mistake, you're covered for that. You might even need to be bonded.
Yeah, when you're a contractor, you need a bond.
Not just a contractor, but if you go into people's homes and stuff like that, for instance, I helped a company in Northern California set up a pet service and dog walking company, and they go into people's homes, so they needed to get bonded too.
Yep.
So just a lot of various things that go into this, right? Next, real quick, there are a couple little things that are nuances that may and may not apply to you, but that would be trademarks, copyrights, and patents, right?
Yep. All your intellectual property that you may need to do in order to protect your product.
Yeah. So a trademark typically covers logos, not necessarily sayings, but it could cover sayings. Slogans, yes. Copyrights are kind of the same. They're more like written works, software, things like that. Donald Trump, he had "You're fired" copyrighted. So if you use the term "you're fired," you're supposed to pay him some money.
Oh my gosh.
So now I've always said "you're terminated."
I love it. You don't do that? I say "you're fired" all day long. No.
All right, you owe Donald some money. Don't let him hear you.
Oh man.
Patents, right? Patents cover products. So if you've created a gear, then you can patent that. Yeah. We actually have a patent that'll be coming up for sale in a couple months as well.
I can't wait. It's going to change the dental industry.
It is. I'm looking forward to that too.
Yes.
Employment laws, right? So you also got labor laws that you have to follow, right? So you need to know the labor laws in your state. They different. I tell everybody this: if you follow the laws in California, you will get the other 49 states covered. You will have the other 49 states covered because California has the most stringent labor laws in the entire United States.
Aw,
However,
yep.
if you go to Oregon or Washington or Utah, they're only half of what California is.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I suggest always go look at the labor laws of your state, see what they are.
So many lawsuits going on in California. Why can't we get along?
California nowadays, it's hard to do business in California only
Yeah,
because all the labor laws are geared for the employee and really put
not for the
the
employer. Yep.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
just so tough. So definitely check that out. Make sure you're in compliance. And yeah, you just want to always be precautionary and preventative maintenance, right?
Right. You want to make sure that you follow the civil rights acts. You don't want to be, discriminating to anybody. Also, OSHA, right? OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, in regards to workplace safety. If you're
Yep.
working, for instance, in construction, steel tip shoes, things like that, right? Restaurants, if you're working with knives and stuff like that, have procedures put in place and they have procedures already for you to follow.
Oh, yeah. And that's why you need workers' comp.
Exactly. And that's one that we didn't really talk about up above, but there
Yeah.
are a lot of different things. And we're
Oh,
just,
yeah.
covering the tip of the iceberg. Um, it can get very detailed and very antiquated really quick.
Yes, definitely. These are important. Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, you don't want to have to do, you don't want to have to be paying hundreds or thousands of dollars because you don't have the right licenses and protection in place. So make sure you do your research.
Some of these, if you're out of compliance, it's a $1,000 per day
Fine.
fine. So
Wow.
that
Yeah.
that could rack up to tens of thousands of dollars
Cost you a
very
pretty
easy.
penny. Yes.
Right. So one thing I did want to talk about that's very important, especially for small businesses starting out. A lot of times you are going to hire an independent contractor, and independent contractors, you need to be very careful because the federal government and the state governments are very specific of what an employee is versus what an independent contractor is, right? And if you don't follow those guidelines, they're going to consider that independent contractor an employee, and now you got to pay, payroll taxes and have the insurance on them and everything else.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to briefly cover that. The biggest things are this: if you hire an independent contractor, you as an employer by no way can control their schedule. When they work, when they don't work, they come and go as they please. You can assign them tasks to get done and stuff like that, but you can't put deadlines on them of, oh, you got to have this done by Friday or whatever, right? They're an independent contractor. I mean,
Right.
you can say, hey, we need this by Friday and stuff like that, but you got to be careful holding them to that and stuff like that because
They are
it
not your employee. That's exactly right. They are your independent contractor. So they don't work for your company. They are just working independently upon an agreement that you made with them, that you hired them to
right,
do. But they are not an employee. They
right,
don't have time clocks, independent contractors come and go as they please. They do their work when they want, where they want to do it. And so there's a lot of luxury in being an independent contractor. Usually you're working on commission only or per contract, which is what real
exactly,
estate do.
yep,
And yeah,
exactly.
so they
So
have they have to maintain their own benefits. You don't have to provide benefits for them or any insurances. Unless, they're on your premise, obviously your insurance would kick in. But yeah, so it's nice to have independent contractors. There's less liability and cost for the business owner to operate that way or to have independent contracts with people.
nicely said, Lisa. Nicely
What do we
said.
got? So yeah,
Well,
so gosh, I think we're kind of just wrapping this up now for all of you.
we are. So just recap real fast, right? There are a lot of different things as you're starting a business license wise, get your business license, fictitious name if you're a sole proprietor partnership, or figure out what type of a corporation or LLC you may be. Make sure that you know what all the different regulatory compliances are based on the business that you're doing. it's hard for us to go into every single one because every state has different
You have to look
regulatory
up
compliances.
per
There's
state.
some,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's some counties and states they don't even require a business license,
Oh, yeah. That's great.
right? So that's even better. But then there are some that are very strict. So you kind of need to know. Feel free to reach out to us at investwire.com or at
Yes.
we will definitely sit down with you. We can put a checklist together for you based on where you're located.
The Biz
And
Show. Tell everybody about our Biz Show. We want to spread the word and get new listeners. So increase our audience every day is our key to success. So help us spread the word about the Biz Show, and we're going to have some more topics coming up that'll be great. We're also going to have some really great interviews coming up here soon. So we want you all to continue to listen.
yes, absolutely. And just as a side note, sometime in the near future, we will be moving into a video format. This format for the audio with the Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple and Pandora will still be there, but we also will also move into YouTube and have a video format as well. So I'm hoping in the next 6 months we can move towards that as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That'll be a lot of fun. So you all could see us behind the scenes.
You can watch the whole thing and laugh at us, right?
I know. That'll be fun, Barry. I can't wait to do that.
I
So
can't
yeah,
either.
I'm hoping you all have a fantastic week ahead and go make some money.
Yes. Have a great day. Everybody take care, and we will talk to you guys next week.
See you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye,
Bye.
Barry. Bye.